Hey everyone, ArdrethShadow here, and welcome back to Doki Doki Captive Heart. So previously, even though it seems like I'm starting fresh, I went ahead and I got what I deem the worst ending of the game. And so, with that in mind, one thing that I'll say right now about the version that I'm playing right now. So apparently, for the most part, it seems as though everything has been fixed, so hopefully you do not get trapped in what I call the sequence/game breaking sort of glitchiness. So I made a save point more or less up to where I think I probably should have. So this is, in a sense, one of the major branching points. Now, with that in mind, I'm probably going to have to go ahead and get the worst ending off screen, so I'm unfortunately going to have to go through that again. But then I'll come back and show off the rest of the endings. Okay, now that that experience is done, okay, let me just do that. Change this a little bit. Okay. So, we don't know Monika's birthday, and we should go know that because we want to be a good boyfriend. And unfortunately, we're kind of having to see this again. Assuming that you did decide to skip episode 3, I guess I'm just gonna kind of go through this again. Back into the kitchen I go. As I walk into the kitchen, I'm met with the sad sight of Monika in distress, tossing a pan in the sink out of anger as she buries her head in her arms. Monika? What's wrong? Are you okay? Daniel! There's no point in lying to you, not when we promised to be honest with each other. I don't know what to do, Daniel. Tell me what's wrong, Monika. Well, I think I made a mistake when cooking the food and now it's ruined. She's desperately trying to fight back tears in her eyes and trying to keep a straight face, but she is failing miserably. And, yep, as I've said many, many times before, I do not like seeing her crying. It just makes me so sad. Damn it all! She clangs another pan against the one she threw into the sink. I can't do a damn thing right! I got you all excited and everything for our first dinner together, and now... What should I say? Okay, so this is what I said before. And I sure as hell do not want to tell her when she's this emotionally vulnerable, hurting inside, and make things worse for her. So we're going to be a good boyfriend and try to comfort her. So we're going to tell her it's okay, and don't worry. I'm not prepared for what happens next as Monika begins crying, unable to hold back her tears any longer. I reach out and pull her in for an embrace, surprising her and myself in the process. Seeing Monika cry like this, I never want to see her cry. And I never want to see her cry. I don't want to see her feel this way. I only want to see her smile and know that she's happy. Monika, it's okay. Everyone makes mistakes. No one can be perfect at everything they do all the time. Unless you're a certain movie character from a certain movie series, specifically 3 movies that came out in the last few years. But... It's only food, Monika. You can always start over and try to do better. So instead of ordering her, like, shut up and do it again, we're here like, everyone makes mistakes. You can just start over again and don't beat yourself up over it. It's just like this movie I saw by this hack of a director says. See? That's one of those movies I'm talking about. The best teacher failure is. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry you had to see me this way. In what way? There's nothing wrong with showing your emotions. Contrary to what Pablo Hidalgo might tell you. Sure, I was a little bit scared hearing the clashing pans and all, but... I know this dinner means a lot to you. I just want you to know that I'm not angry or disappointed with you. Monika smiles through her tears as I let her go. You're right. I shouldn't let something like this get me down. Not a girl. I just have to pick myself up and try again. Exactly. And learn from your failures. That's the spirit. I'm not gonna say it the way I usually do. Thank you, Daniel. I didn't realize you were so mature as well. I can't help but scratch the back of my head out of embarrassment. Hand goes to the back of the head. No one has ever really called me mature before. If anything, I'm used to people pointing at me and saying, Hey, look, it's the immature jerk! What up? Hearing her compliment me like this, I don't know how to respond. As she goes back to face the stove, I remember what I came in here for. So if you didn't skip episode 3, and well, like I said, I'm kind of giving people a pass to actually skip that video. After the backlash I got from Tainted Love, yeah, I can kind of understand like why people would probably hate that video. But if you did see it, notice the tone here, where everything was still kind of tense before and uneasy. Now everything's a little bit more comfortable. There's a sense of trust and understanding with the two of them, and they're more relaxed. Anyway, so he's going to ask her. Oh, before I forget, Monika, I wanted to ask you when your birthday was. You want to know my birthday? I mean, if we're going to be a couple, we have to know little things. We have to know little things about each other, right? I'm pretty sure your birthday ought to be on the top of my list of things to know. Monika is taken back, blushing as she tries to find the words to speak. You see, she's like totally smitten with him, versus before she was hurt by him. Wow, I can't say how happy that makes me, Daniel. You're sensitive, mature, and so considerate, too. Is this even real life right now? Or is this just fantasy? Mama... Okay, no. I'm pretty sure. I mean, what do you think this is? Some kind of video game? Yeah. I know a little something about video games, you know. In another universe, I'm like the god of a video game. Alright. I'll go ahead and tell you, but pay attention, because I'm only going to tell you this one time. Gotta write this down. My birthday is September 22nd. How about you? Mine is October 29th. Monika giggles to herself as she turns back to the oven. What is it? Mine, Daniel. I didn't know you had a thing for older women. What the? Hey, well... Ara. Okay, no. I'm only younger by a month. It's not that big of a difference. Yeah, this isn't some kind of crazy May-December romance we have going on here. Just teasing you, Daniel. She got me again. Go! Got me again! Well, I think I know how to get her back. Now that we've got that out of the way, Monika, I'd just like to say I've always thought you had one of the best smiles. Monika turns to face me, sure enough smiling at me. Thank you, player. You're calling me a playa? Playa hater. Just do me a favor, Monika. Oh? What is it? I don't ever want to see you sad again. Please, keep smiling and never stop. What? I hurriedly leave the kitchen as Monika looked at me blushing and bewildered. Ha! I got the last oh. He actually... You see, this is... Well, like I said in Tainted Love, this is what happens when you have me writing the story and then me doing a let's play of it. My commentary and the game dialogue is going to overlap. Ha! I got her with that one. I got the last laugh in the end. It's not a total lie or anything, since it did pain me to see her so sad. Yes, and as I've said countless times, I hate seeing any of these girls sad. Monika being like one of the main ones. Well, I don't know why, but it seems as though... Well, considering like how much Yuri and Sayori mean to me, like seeing them crying does hurt me. Especially Sayori, because I never, ever, ever want to see her cry, but... I don't know, for some reason seeing Monika cry just... It hurts me on a different level. I can't quite explain it. So yeah, seeing any of these four girls crying like that, it really does pain me. Looks like I'm not the only one who gets so easily flustered. I just have to come up with all these ways to fluster you before you can fluster me. Now then, I have to head back into Monika's room for what is hopefully the last time. I take the flashlight in my hand and proceed. Alright, yeah, so... Like I said, if you did watch episode 3, I'm basically just going to be doing this as a favor to anyone who is most likely going to skip over episode 3, so you're going to have to kind of deal with this, I'm sorry to say. I feel desensitized to Monika's room at this point since I've been in here so many times already. A few more times than you should have been. I know how weird it sounds, but there's no other way I can think of putting it. I look around her room for something that would need a password or code. There's nothing I can see until my eyes land on her desk. There's a computer sitting there with the power off. So as I briefly explained, I had another background I was gonna see about using for this scene. Well, for Monika's bedroom, but Mr. Rockerman909 suggested this one, which really worked out in the end, as I said. And in that version of the story, Monika had a laptop. Since this one has an actual desktop computer, it's like, okay, well. And luckily, yeah, he changed that one for me as well. Since I figured it'd be kind of redundant having the laptop and the computer, like, you know. Not saying you You can't have that, since I kind of do that too, but, you know. I just hardly ever use my laptop anymore. I take a seat at the desk and power it on. Upon doing so, it asks me for a passcode. 0922. Sure enough, that worked. Monika needs to rethink her choice of passwords. That's the kind of combination only an idiot would have on his luggage! Okay, no, it's not that bad of a password, but still. Anyone who knows her birthday can just break into this thing. See? So if you do know her birthday, it's like, there you go. But yeah, at least it's not a password like 12345. That's amazing! I have the exact same combination on my luggage! Well, lucky for me, but unlucky for her, I suppose. And yeah, so this is the desktop that he chose for her, which is an actual wallpaper somewhere. The laptop boots... Okay, unfortunately that stayed in there. The laptop, quote-unquote, boots up and I'm at her desktop. I glance over everything until my eyes land on a document named The Answer. Either she's pulling my leg here, or this is it. Once again, not too creative, but I'm not going to question it. Time to see what's in this document. Opening it up reveals some kind of diary. March 22nd. My name is Monika Akiyama. I live here with my father and mother in this nice suburban area. My father is a businessman for some kind of business that I can't be bothered to remember. He's kind of a boring and plain businessman now that I think of it. There's almost nothing remarkable about him now that I think about it. March 23rd. He's just an unremarkable man who got a job, fell in love, got married, had a daughter, cheats on his wife, leads a secret double life, and goes on about life as if everything is completely normal and boring like he is. My mother has her line of work as well as a journalist. She's not around as much as my father hates it. He makes more money than he does. I think part of the reason she's not around is so she doesn't have to face the reality of how awful her cheating husband is, or how much of a failure her daughter is in life. I know how she feels, and I wish I could just run away from everything as well, but I imagine my father would lose his mind without either of us here. Maybe that's why she stays here, continuously suffering. She doesn't want to abandon her husband and let him spiral into depression, or her daughter, who she constantly pressures into being a good student. March 27th. I'm keeping a diary to put down my innermost thoughts and reflect on them later. There might even be some value to it if someone else were to read it. Right now, you're reading someone's private thoughts. Thoughts that I have never shared with anyone else, mind you. While I know I'm doing this just to keep my mind straight, I think that what I want is for someone to help me and save me from this nightmare. I don't know how to go about it, though. I can't ask for help directly unless I want people to think I'm worthless like my parents do. If someone truly cares about me, maybe they will try to get closer to me. If I can trust and confide in them, I can tell them. How will I know, though? The only way I feel I can do this without being so direct is by piquing their interest a little bit. Perhaps by luring them into wanting to learn more about me, and hoping their curiosity gets the better of them as they sate their thirst for answers. I have a feeling that MC here had a thirst for something else along the way. Maybe with some notes, or maybe a scavenger hunt. And that's where this whole crazy journal scrap hunt came in to the picture. March 30th. I'm currently keeping both of them under close surveillance. There has been a monumental change since this whole process started a week ago. At first they resisted me and even lashed out at me, but now they fear me. after all these years of being so scared of them. Now the tables have turned, and I have the power over them. I prepare their meals, but I refuse to give them utensils. If they don't want to eat with their hands, then it's no big loss to me. Things are going to change around here. I'm not going to let them run me into the ground any longer. To show them some mercy, I try to teach them a few things to help them adapt to this new way of life. After all, teaching lessons is the best way to help people learn and improve, right? To my dismay, they didn't take me seriously. They ignored everything I said and did, and instead called me a demon child or devil spawn. I felt my generosity fade. I punished them by taking away their food privileges for a week. April 6th. I went to check in on my parents. By the time the week was up, I saw that my dad died, withering away to practically nothing. Mom was wasting away as well, clearly about to meet the same fate. When I tried to talk to her, she didn't respond. She didn't have the energy to cry or even look at me in the eyes. It's like she was just an empty shell. I couldn't sleep at all that night. I'm scared that I might have gone too far with this punishment. Even if they were causing me so much strife and grief, they didn't deserve this fate. What was I thinking? I might have gone past the point of no return now, and I don't know what to do. I just wanted to teach them a lesson, but then I guess my anger and lust for revenge clouded my judgment. In that sense, I became someone even worse than the two of them put together. All I could do was lay there in my bed, trembling and crying to myself. What have I done? What have I become? I sank into the chair once I finished reading everything. The scavenger hunt, her stress, her parents. It all seems to make sense now. I don't even know what to make of this. Even thinking about it makes me sick to my stomach. I try to get up, but I stumble a little bit as my knees seem to have gone weak. As I fall to the floor, I notice something under the desk. What is this? Reaching over, I find yet another torn diary scrap. Even now, she's still doing this? There's no going back now. You and I know this all too well. If you're reading this, then you know my dark secret. You've also demonstrated that you've tried to understand me to some extent if you've made it this far. Do you want to know how this sad little story ends? Fine. I'll tell you. Just go on and gently open the door. You know the way. This isn't too much of a diary scrap as it is. A challenge directed at the reader. A challenge directed at me. My hands are shaking as I turn the scrap over to see what I believe is the final clue. Monika, you've changed things. Forever. There's no going back now. Not for you, or me in this case. If what I've just read on that laptop, or computer, is true, then you've committed some dark deeds that you can never go back on. You forced your parents to become so malnourished that they died. As much as I'd rather not, I walk over to the closet and gently open the door. Upon doing so, I find it to be so dark that I can't see anything. So I originally kind of thought about having a CG for this. Although, well, you're gonna kind of see like why, one of the reasons why I decided against this. The other reason being the artist that I was talking to, they unfortunately were not able to finish the first CG that I wanted for this. This would have been the second CG. So, unfortunately, I kind of had to scrap that idea. So, I guess in a sense, this is all kind of going to be up to the reader's imagination. Upon doing so, I find it so dark that I can't see anything. That's when I look over to the flashlight I brought with me. I snatch it and turn it on to shed some light on this dark situation. That's when I begin to wish I hadn't done that, and I could forget what I forced myself to see. There, I see a group of corpses that are beyond recognition. One appears to be a female, one appears to be a male, and the other appears to be a male, albeit of a smaller build. There's a thick stench in the air that makes me nearly want to puke. Honestly, how could anyone ignore this? Monika, what have you done? I try to persevere to get a better look. None of them have any visible injuries. That's when I deduce that 2 of these corpses must belong to Monika's parents, going off her confession note to starving them to death. The other, that must be Mark. I have to get away from here. Not just from this awful odor, but to avoid getting myself into further trouble should Monika discover me here. I'll just walk away and pretend I never saw any of this. Yeah, that's what I'll do. After that, I get the hell out of here and think of my next move. What will that be? I have no idea, but I'll think of that later. And too late. I step away and turn around, and I am met with Monika's stern face glaring at me. Fuck my life. What do you think you're doing, Daniel? I thought I told you not to go snooping around in a girl's room. What can I even say at this point? Oh, well, I was just looking around your room for gift ideas. I had no idea you were a big fan of Cascada. I reach over for one of Monika's CDs, holding it up and smiling. You're like, huh? You see? I'm not doing anything bad. Yeah, I don't think that's going to convince her. Nope, probably not. She looks past my shoulder to see her open closet door. Well then. So you've seen my dark secret, haven't you? Secret? What secret? I didn't see any secret. I sure didn't see any dead bodies or anything like that. What the hell is wrong with you, blabbermouth? Ah, screw it, I'm good as dead anyway. What's wrong, Daniel? Are you scared? My hands have become quite shaky to the point I lose my grip on the flashlight, letting it fall to the floor. It was very difficult for me, Daniel. Will you listen to what I have to say? They say there's no point in prolonging the inevitable, but I give a nod. Might as well enjoy my last few moments of life. See? I might as well enjoy however much time I have left. It's too bad I can't be anywhere else but here right now. Thanks, Daniel. Where do I begin? When I was little, I wasn't anything like I am now. I was very shy, timid, and I could hardly do anything on my own. The old me, the original me, is nothing like what people see me as today. I was bullied quite a lot until the end of junior high school, when I tried to adopt the mask I've worn to fool everyone. Before that, though, people picked on me for being so scared of everything, and for how I was so easy to fool and trick into doing anything. I was everyone's doormat. I was everyone's fool. I was often picked on by some of the jocks for being so homely and gloomy looking, too. That's when I tried to turn things around and become a prudent student and it kind of worked. It's unfathomable to think that Monika, one of the most beautiful girls in the school, was picked on for being homely. I place the CD on one of the shelves next to me as I continue to listen to her. You gotta treat those Cascada CDs nicely. I couldn't take the never-ending torture anymore. I dedicated myself to my studies and worked very hard to get to where I am today. I started to dress differently and even started wearing my hair differently. After applying myself, it was like the old me no longer existed. She was nothing more than a memory. A memory that a lot of people conveniently forgot about. I changed everything about myself. Not just on the outside, but inside as well, as I adopted a more confident, cheerful attitude that was nothing like the old me, who was scared and had little to no self-confidence. No one bullied me anymore. If anything, I had so many people wanting to be my friend. In some cases, I even had a lot of guys approaching me and showering me with compliments. In some cases, those jocks who picked on me were now throwing themselves at me for a chance to be with me. If only they knew who they were hitting up on, I bet they'd feel like total idiots. The original her. I never would have guessed that the original Monika was this scared, broken person inside. No wonder she felt like she needed a mask for people to accept her. And, well, kind of touching on this mod again, for Monika's route in Doki Doki October Horizon, this was going to be like one of the central themes here. So in addition to Monika kind of struggling to fight off this constant sense of anxiety eating away at her, she also would have felt like in order for people to accept her, she had to be this perfect person like all the time. Otherwise, if not, then like no one would want to have anything to do with her, and it would probably, in a sense, like the cycle would start over again where she'd be bullied and tormented and treated like a doormat. So that's kind of what prompted her to change, and why she is trying so damn hard to like keep anyone from seeing any of these cracks in the mask and, you know, keep up the facade. So, as some people might also be aware, like, so that mod never got to happen, but that doesn't mean that it was completely scrapped, in a sense. A lot of the themes and ideas went into Tainted Love, Shattered Time, and now Captive Heart. Captive Heart itself kind of borrows some of the main cues from what would have been Monika's route in October Horizon, except it kind of takes it in a very dark and twisted way. Whereas that incarnation of Monika was kind of struggling and, in a sense, like driving herself insane, but not to the point of like trying to take out her anger on anyone. This one just snapped one day and just lost it. So, in a sense, like this Monika, she couldn't take it anymore, and it just drove her insane. But the other Monika, she wouldn't have really snapped more than she would have had like a mental breakdown. It's no wonder she was unsatisfied with herself. That didn't matter to my parents, though. Sure, they were pleased with my grades for a while, but anything outside of that? You really can't do anything right, can you? They tell me things like that day in and day out, and frankly, I couldn't take it anymore. So, yeah. In a sense, she just snapped. No matter what I did, there was no pleasing anyone. I could honestly care less about what the teachers and students thought about me. My parents were the ones I wanted to be happy with me. I didn't want them to toss me away like I was some kind of failure or defective toy. Yet, they didn't understand me or accept me. So in the end, it didn't even matter. I think back to the diary entries and her confession note. She seemed overwhelmed, and like she was desperate for help. This doesn't justify her actions, but she was blinded by her frustration and what seems to be years of pain and torment from never being accepted for who she truly was. Even now, she still isn't accepted for being the original her. This is just a mask, as she said. Admittedly, I had a lapse in judgment when I snapped one day, after I couldn't take it anymore. It was like a poison running through my veins, and it just took me over completely. I shouldn't have gone about things the way I did. I just didn't see it that way at the time. All I wanted was to punish them for never accepting me. Except you went a bit too far. For never loving me for the person I truly was. I just wanted revenge, as sad as it sounds. Validation. I still did everything I could to take care of them and think of ways to make sure people at their workplaces didn't get suspicious. I shouldn't have let it come to this, but once I made that decision to let them go a week without food, it was already too late. I was even wondering if I deserved to live after what I had done. If I should atone for my dark deeds. Monika, That's when Mark came into my life and confessed that he liked me one day. I was so happy, and I thought that I found someone who would understand me. I brought him over to my house, a lot like I did with you, and he eventually found out about my secret, and it mortified him. Understandably so, but I was hoping he would at least give me a chance to explain myself. That's one thing I will say about you, Daniel. He didn't want to hear a single word from me about why I did the things I did. In other words, he reacted as, like, almost any other person would have reacted if they found out about all this stuff. He automatically branded me a criminal, a murderer. He confronted me, but then he tried to get away, threatening to expose me as the demented psychopath I was. But then I caught him. I couldn't risk anyone finding out about this, so I made sure to keep him right here with me. Forever. So after all this time, Mark disappearing was because... That's right. No one could know. Mark made it clear that he wouldn't rest until the world knew about me, but I couldn't have that. Let me see, just a moment. There was already nothing else for me to lose, so I gave him the same treatment as my parents. I had already become so dark and twisted by my lust for revenge that I just gave into it. Your anger and your lust for revenge have twisted you, and so now Now you've become the very thing you swore to destroy. I already accepted that no one would ever love me or accept me for who I was, so there is no point in trying to live a normal life any longer. Then there was you. For some reason, I felt you would be different, but now I'm left to wonder. Okay. So now, this is the branch that I originally, started the game with. The worst ending was kind of something that I had to... I went back and added to kind of, bolster out the game in a sense. So this is the original one branch I had in mind. So we had that other branch, and now we're gonna have this second branch here. Are you going to run away too? Stay by Monika's side? Okay, so we have the choice of either running the fuck away, staying by her side, or we use the power of love. Okay, well, unfortunately, as you all know, I'm a completionist. I want to show off everything I can in the game and get everything that I possibly can, which often means I am forced to watch these girls suffer before I can get to see them be happy. So, we're basically going to do what Mark wanted to do. This isn't normal, Monika. I understand you were consumed by stress and torment. I do. This isn't the way to go about it, though. Are you threatening me, Daniel? Are you threatening me, Master Jedi? No. But I can't stay here any longer. Oh, I see. Are you going to run away, Daniel? Do you think you can get away from me? I thought you liked me. What happened to that? That was before I knew I was in love with a psychopath. So that's how it's going to be. You told me that you liked me. It was nothing but lies. Lies, 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 lies! I'll do what I have to, I'll do what I guess. I'll do what I must to get away from you. You will try. I ran as fast as I could, never looking back. I had to get away from her get as far away from her as I possibly could. Monika was running after me, but she didn't leave her house. No matter. I shouldn't think too much about it. Just the thought of being together with that crazed murderer was enough to send a chill down my spine. I got out of the house, running as fast as my legs could carry me. After some time, I was nearly tripping over myself from exhaustion, but I didn't dare look back. Finally, I had to take a break. That's when I heard a familiar voice from behind me. Oh, Daniel, I caught you. I turned around, finding myself face to face with the demented, sinister grin Monika had on her face. Oh shit! Oh! Bad end 1. And I ran so far away. And I ran for night and day. I couldn't get away. Okay, so that's the first bad ending. Okay, so I wasn't entirely safe from jump scares. It wasn't the jump scare, but it was a jump scare. Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna skip. Okay, so we're just gonna stay by her side. You know, screw it. We're gonna honor our promise to always be with her forever. No. I won't leave you. I'm staying by your side. Really? No. I mean, yes. You're going to stay with me? Yes. I'm not going to abandon you. I can't tell you how happy that makes me, Daniel. Understand, though, that you have to stay with me forever. You can't ever leave my side. I mean it. Otherwise I'll fucking kill you. I won't leave you, Monika. Oh my god. This music is making me feel very, very... This is sending a chill down my spine. Monika then I'm so scared and flustered. Monika then begins to giggle in a manner most sinister as she eyes me up and down. What are you checking me out for? Oh shit. Okay, yeah. You don't have to worry, Daniel. Yeah, see, I'm not joking. I'm actually like I have the goosebumps now. I'll take good care of you and give you the best food I can offer you every day from now on. Before my mind registers what she's implying, Monika shoves me into the closet and slams the door shut. As I stumble to my feet, I hear some footsteps rustling, followed by the sound of something being dragged in front of the door. Yep, you're not getting out of this one. I'm trapped in the closet. I'm trapped in the closet. I'm trapped in the closet. When I said I wasn't going to leave her, this isn't what I had in mind. Be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. Now she's shoving me into the closet. Now she's closing the door on the closet. Now she's blocking the door to the closet. Now it looks like I'm going to share the same fate as Mark and Monika's parents. I suppose this is what I get for not being specific with my choice of words. Very poor choice of words. Bad End 2. Trapped in the closet. Alright. Okay, so we got worst ending, bad ending 1, bad ending 2, and now we are finally going to get what I consider to be my favorite ending in this game. We're going to use the power of love. We're going to embrace Monika. We're not going to say anything. We're going to let our actions speak for us instead. The same feelings that drove me to confess to Monika take me over again as I rush over to Monika and throw my arms around her, holding her as tight as I could, as if the world around us were crumbling. Around us. Monika freezes in my embrace. What? Daniel, what are you doing? What does it look like I'm doing? Don't you get it? No, I'm a stupid, dense anime protagonist. I'm a murderer. If you stay with me, you're probably going to end up arrested or even dead. Don't you understand that? Monika's voice trembles and cracks as she bursts into tears. You didn't intentionally murder your parents, Monika. I know that from hearing you and from your diary. These feelings are natural, and it's what makes you human inside. Although I am going to say I don't agree with how you handled the situation. Your twin from another universe handled it quite differently. But unfortunately that universe never existed, so what am I talking about? You're not going to run away? No, because I know what that's going to get me. No. Because I saw the future. And you're just going to get me anyway and scare the living daylights out of the guy playing this game. I can't leave you alone like this. Not when you don't have anyone else in this world you can trust or lean on. Oh, Daniel. Monika is overwhelmed by her tears as she returns my embrace, squeezing me tightly as if I were all she had left in this world. In a tragic sense, maybe I am all she has left in this world. I know she was driven insane by the constant stress and pressure she felt, but this was because no one ever tried to get to know her. The real Monika. The true Monika. Not even her parents seem to care about her, which truly hurts and disgusts me inside. Oh, Daniel, what am I going to do? I messed up. And that's putting it lightly. Like I said, this is what happens when you have the commentator and the writer being the same person. That's putting it lightly. If I were to lose you now, I'd be alone all over again. I can't go back to that way of life. I'd probably end up with my parents and Mark if I end up alone this time. I have to atone for what I've done. I need to apologize to them for everything that I... Monika struggles to talk through her tears. I hold on to her even more, gently stroking her back. I'm not going to leave you, Monika. And I don't mean to shove me into the closet either. I love you. The real you. As I said, I'm not too thrilled with the idea of what happened to your parents, but you didn't fail. You didn't fail them, Monika. They failed you. Parents are supposed to raise you, support you, and make you who you are today. As far as I can see, they didn't do any of that. If anything, they drove you to this dark and twisted state. That's no excuse for your actions, mind you, but... we can work through this. What do you mean? How? Well... I know it's not going to be simple, but we'll find a way. Well, I know that it wouldn't be so simple, but I found a way. I found a way. I just wanted my mom and dad to praise me, to love me, to accept me for who I am. Why did it turn out this way? Because they failed you, Monika. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't say anything further. Monika continued crying, and I simply continued to hold on to her tightly, as if she would float away from me the moment I let go. With the way she's talking, I almost feel like something would happen to her, and that she would end up with her parents again. I can't let that happen. This poor girl is so damaged and hurt inside. I can't just leave her like this. She seriously doesn't have anyone else left in this world. I can't help but wonder if, just maybe, I was able to give her that sense of acceptance and understanding she so desired and was often denied. I stayed with her that whole night. I know it's not going to be as simple, but I want to work things out with her and help her get through this. We'll find a way together. Time will heal her broken and troubled heart, and I will be with her every step of the way. My captive heart. Two years later. Yep. So props to the artist that made this background. I was actually kind of... When I wanted to write this scene, I had no idea, like, where's it gonna be? And then one day, I saw this and I kind of asked, and I said, like, you know, I want to use this. Is this okay? And, like, sure enough, like, yeah, as long as you credit me. So this is like a sort of cafe bistro kind of place. This is such a wonderful place, Daniel. How did you hear about it? Well, let's just say a little birdie named Sayori told me about it one day. She's always such a sweetheart. Although I can't help but wonder how Megan's uncle is going to do now that there's some competition around here. Well, I can't deny that this place is wonderful. I'd like to see about coming here more often, now that we know about it. I look at her, saying nothing and smiling at her. What is it? Nothing. It's just... Remember what I said 2 years ago? About what? About your smile. About how I never want to see you stop smiling. Oh, that's right. Well, I have every reason to smile when I have someone as wonderful as you in my life, Daniel. I'm no longer lonely, so long as you remain at my side for the rest of our days. After that night 2 years ago, Monika continuously cried her eyes out to me every evening when I would visit her after school. I never wanted to give up on her. I wanted to give her the support and love she needed. I had to make sure she never did anything to take her life. I wanted her to live. I wanted her to find and make the life she wanted for herself, as she described in her diary. Eventually, Monika began to come to terms with what she had done. I still don't approve of what happened, but we both understand it only happened as a result of the self-destructive path her parents set her on. Although, yeah, I don't think anyone's gonna really go for that. Okay. I could not resist doing this scene. Okay, let me... Okay, I have to psych myself out of here. You are so beautiful. Well, maybe it's because I'm so in love. No, maybe it's because I'm so in love with you. So love has blinded you? No, that's not what I mean, Monika. You're such a dork sometimes. After we sorted out some of the rather messy details, Monika began to genuinely show signs of happiness, knowing she had someone who loved and accepted her as she was, and ArdrethShadow continued to show signs of stumbling on his words. 2 years later, we are still the couple, so deeply in love and devoted to one another. Monika has never expressed any desire to take her own life since then, nor has she devolved back to her dark and twisted self born out of pain and torment. She was smiling more and more, regaining her happiness, and slowly showing signs of the parts of her she claimed to have done away with. She no longer feared what people would think of her if she was not perfect. She was at ease. So, aside from obviously incorporating the main plot of Captive Heart into this scene, this was more or less what I had in mind for an epilogue with October Horizon. And ironically, you kind of see this in Doki Doki Carpe Diem, which in a sense was kind of an indirect teaser for October Horizon, being that, you know, you have a date in a cafe here, but that one was a little more, I guess you could say, bare bones compared to this one. Where this one, I obviously put a lot more into it. Of course, I had to make some alterations, as I said, and, you know, incorporate the fact that, oh yeah, this is the result of the main story of Captive Heart, not October Horizon. But the same main idea still stands here. That she's happy, she's fine with who she is, she's not afraid of what people are thinking about her 24/7, and she doesn't feel like she has to be perfect all the time or wear a mask for people to like her. She basically said, you know, to hell with all that. I have someone who is deeply in love with me for the person that I truly am. And that was the main idea I wanted to get across in October Horizon. Just the idea that so long as you stay true to who you are, no matter what anyone else thinks, the people who do matter in your life will always stay with you, no matter what. Of course, yeah, this is taking it a bit... You know, this is kind of stretching that idea a bit, but... You know... That's... You know, like I said, if we ignore the... Yeah, if we ignore the events of Captive Heart a little bit... This was what I wanted to convey through October Horizon. So... At least in some way... The ending that I kind of pictured for that mod did finally get to see life. Not exactly in the shape or form that I originally planned it to, but it, at least spiritually, it kinda did. So yeah, she was at ease. She was at peace. She could finally love herself the way I love her more and more every day. I'll always be here to make you happy, Monika. I promise you. What brought this up all of a sudden? Nothing. I just want to make sure you never forget. Trust me. I will never forget what you've done for me. All the times we spent together, and how you've shown me nothing but love and compassion. I'm forever grateful to have such a wonderful man in my life, Daniel. Monika is fighting back tears of happiness as we get up and leave. Okay, well, this was where I wanted to have the first CG. Yeah, well, in other words, this CG would have taken priority over the other one. The other one that I think, in hindsight, might have been a bit too, you know, unsettling, and, in the end, unnecessary. I would have loved to have the CG here at the end, but as I mentioned, the artist that I was talking to wasn't able to get anything done in time, so unfortunately I had to scrap that idea. We find a nice place to sit down in a park nearby after walking around for a little while. As I plop myself on the bench, Monika gets close to me and rests her head on my shoulder. She closes her eyes and smiles as she begins singing softly to herself. Could it be you, or do I lose my way? I'm here but colorblind. Could it be you, or do I break away? So leave the past behind. I only want to feel the sunlight, stop the fight and see it in your eyes. Wish I just knew what I should do. Could it be you? Somebody tell me if it's true, I don't have a clue. Could it be you? True end. Original me. Chibi's now available. Act now. So don't delay, act now. Supplies are running out. Alright. Let's see. So for this... Oh. Look in the bathroom mirror at the correct time. Oh great, the correct time? Okay, so then it looks like there's a chance I might have to possibly restart the game. Well, at least we get a hint for that. So, yeah, in order to get this secret, we're gonna have to look at the bathroom mirror at the correct time. And lo and behold, since I basically just skipped all the way to this point, I don't know. Okay, well, there's a chance I am probably gonna have to restart the game, so I guess let's see what I end up doing. Oh dear, looks like we have a bit of a glitch going on here. So the cool psychedelic main screen just became a checkerboard. I don't know how that happened. Actually, wait. So what I did was I was going through whatever here, trying to figure out, and then I just went to the load menu and main menu, and this happened, so. Oh dear. Well, I'm gonna have to restart the game again, though, either way. Alright, here we go. Let's see if this is the mirror the letter was talking about. Oh, wait. I don't know if this is gonna freak me out. I have an idea what this might be. And I didn't know if we were gonna use this, or how we were gonna use this. Maybe it's behind the mirror? I reach behind the mirror until I touch what appears to be a piece of paper. Reminder, the keys are in the garden. Huh. I guess I wasn't supposed to find this. Anyway, I better go find the next part of the diary. And who knows, maybe I'll also look for those keys. Alright, so... now... since we're going into the garden anyway... so I make my way to the basement, down once again... Okay, here we go. So, we made it. I wonder where Monika hid those keys. I look at a couple of bushes near where I found one of Monika's diary parts. I walk up to the bushes and start looking for the keys. Alright, so I did not write any of this, so this is all going to be completely new to me. The only thing I might have written would be a possible Easter egg that I wasn't sure about its implementation. Indeed, the keys are here. I put the keys in my pocket and go back inside before Monika finds out I'm gone. Okay. So now we have these two rooms unlocked. So yeah, try to open the door, but it's locked. Perhaps I could try one of these keys. I insert one of the keys into the doorknob, fitting it perfectly. Okay, I'm gonna save here. Or well, I don't know if I should have saved before, but... I turn the key and unlock the door. Success! Okay, this was actually the background I was originally thinking of using for Monika's room. But obviously... that one kind of worked out better. I walk around the room for a bit until I reach the desk next to the window. There's a plushie sitting next to a note with a strange symbol. How weird. Okay. A plushie with a strange symbol. Well... kind of sort of related to this, but I did draw a symbol that was kind of somewhat of a reference to a certain character in Shattered Time for the purpose of future mods, but... okay, let's see. I guess the other key belongs to this door. I turn the key and unlock the door. Oh my god, it's Natsuki's room. Oh my... is this Natsuki's room? Huh? There's a plushie here as well. And the same note with that weird symbol. Okay, well... oh my god, well... now what do I do with it? Dang, it's not letting me... yep, my trick isn't working here. Okay, the ninja consultant. No, don't auto. Okay, I'm gonna save that. Okay, we're gonna go back to the main menu and possibly cause the checkerboard of doomage. Okay. Hi, Daniel. Don't tickle me, Daniel. Okay. Let's see. I'm assuming that, well, obviously since I named the player character Daniel, that this is just what they say. Alright, well... I really don't know what else to do here. I do have one idea. Okay, so my idea is, what if I just go through the game to the end again and see if anything changes? So, ludicrous speed. And we're gonna go on the path to the true ending. What? Huh? I take the flashlight in my hand and proceed. And then all of a sudden everything just... the power went out. Okay, yeah, now I am kind of getting a bit freaked out here. What the hell just happened? Wait a minute. I can't move. I can't even talk or scream for help. Oh great. It's a sleep paralysis demon. What's going on? Daniel. Huh? Who said that? How curious. You don't seem to recognize me. But, well, I'm already used to these things happening. Tell me, do you know what it is you truly desire? What I truly desire? Not everything in this world is as it seems, young one. It would be wise for you to remember that, unless you wish to challenge your fate and fall into despair. Will you run? Or will you see this through to the end? How do you think this will end for you and your companion? Just how well do you truly know her? Is he talking about Monika? Ignorance spares you pain. The closer to the truth you get, the more you will suffer. Or is that what you truly want? When the moment of truth comes, young one, will you run, or will you remain faithfully by her side? The choice is yours, after all. I have to go now. We'll talk again someday. I hope you remember me when that time comes. Okay, the power's back. What the hell was that? Alright, so that Easter egg did make it into the game. All I can say is for anyone who played Shattered Time, you might have an idea of what's going on here. Okay, well now I'm wondering... that might have been the only change, but... let's go through to the end and actually see if maybe we're gonna embrace her with the power of love and we're gonna remain faithfully by her side. We are never going to run or abandon her. We're gonna have dinner in this nice cafe. Oh, here we go. Ha, I knew it. How interesting. Despite everything this girl did, you managed to save her from herself. You are interesting, Daniel. I wonder if someone like you can be broken. I can't wait to play with you again. But for now, enjoy your victory, Daniel. Alrighty then. What is this called? Yep, there it is. There's the symbol. Secret ending. A better day. I love you, Daniel. Hi, Daniel. Don't tickle me, Daniel. Okay. Yep, so that is the symbol of Tyrankos, the Dark Master of Time and insane God of Shadows introduced in Shattered Time. And technically the secret puppet master behind every game in this anthology. With the exception of, well, I don't count Carpe Diem, really. I mean, I guess you could kind of, sort of consider it as a part of the anthology, even though nothing bad happens to anyone. As weird as it sounds, but it does actually kind of align with the idea of Tyrankos being a master of time and maybe showing you a possible future. Because, I mean, after all, how else are you gonna have this very specific dream about, you know, being happily in love with Monika when it hasn't happened yet? So, yes, that is my backdoor retcon for Carpe Diem being part of this anthology. Alright, well then. Let's see, I guess. Yep, just to confirm that we have everything. So, yeah, as I mentioned more or less, this is kind of me taking the original plot for Monika's route in Doki Doki October Horizon and kind of putting a very dark and sinister spin on it. And, well, as most of the people who were working with me on the mod know, that mod was actually very, very personal to me, and it seriously, like, broke my heart when I had to cancel the mod. And, like, I had this story that I really, really wanted to tell, and, well, it just didn't work out. But in the end, though, like, from October Horizon, I was able to use those character notes and some of those ideas and make them into 4 different mods. So, in a way, I could consider October Horizon as my Super Mario 128. And, well, what was I gonna say? So, with this ending, obviously, like, yeah, as Tyrankos put it, despite everything she did, you still chose to love and accept her, and save her from despair. Which was, like, one of the main ideas in October Horizon. Of course, not with this, like, dark spin on things, more so just saving her from self-destructing and having a mental breakdown and, you know, possibly going off the deep end. You saved her from herself in that regard. But that was, like, for the anxiety and peer pressure for something totally different. She had all that, but the added dark secret of what happened to her parents to boot. Anyway, well, So that is Captive Heart. And there's really not a whole lot else I can say about it. At least, like, if we compare it to the other two stories, well, like I said, I guess we can treat Carpe Diem as like a preface and prologue, while the other two are, and this one are like the main course, sort of. So compared to the other two main course mods in this anthology, this one is probably like, in a sense, the true ending is much happier compared to Tainted Love, where, well, everyone pretty much dies in one way or another, and there is no happiness to be found. Kind of keeping in theme with the original DDLC, where Monika even says, like, there is no happiness to be found here at the end. Shattered Time was more of a tragic love story, where we have two people who are more or less meant for each other, let's be real. But unfortunately, time kind of separates them. Time and a very, very misfortunate happening. And they can never be together. And the only way they think that they can save one another is to make the ultimate sacrifice. So that one isn't quite as, like, sad or, like, super psychological horror, but it was basically just a very sad and tragic love story. This one, on the other hand, I mean, if we ignore this one for a moment and just focus on this one specifically, things worked out fine in the end. Everything just kind of fell into place, and Monika is now, like, happier. She loves herself, and she's just, you know, she's able to enjoy her life, and she has a chance to make everything that she described in her diary become a reality. So yeah, at least compared to Shattered Time, where it's like, we have these two young people in love who are stuck in this endless time loop of trying to save one another, which is basically implied to be going on forever with no end in sight, you know, so that one is obviously not as happy. Tainted Love, of course, well, that had 3 different endings, but the true end was obviously, like, yeah, so. Anyway, well, I guess thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time with whatever else I do. And I guess if you enjoyed this mod, thank you so much for just being a fan, and I will see you guys next time with whatever else I do. Stay golden, and later, folks.
Try to hide, I'm listening to my voice inside. Why don't you tell me right or wrong? I need to know where I belong. For all the days I ran away and never dared to ask me, who could I be? Who can bring back the love that's inside me? Could it be you, or do I lose